as of now, we don't know what is happening with Vlatko Andonovski or if anything is happening. But what do you think is happening if we move forward with someone else? Who should be on this list?
Yeah, I hear you. I think that's what everyone's on right now. It's the coaching watch for the USWNT. Who's it going to be? Who can the candidates be? I'm sure it's going to be a wide list of characters. Look, as soon as the United States made their unfortunate exit in this World Cup, that same morning, I got tasked by my editors to go ahead and put out a list of coaching candidates on .com. So, of course, I've been swimming in names since then. But look, I think there's a number of qualified candidates out there that U.S. soccer can go after. It could range from folks who are doing really, really cool things at the club level to your NWSL candidates to maybe even some collegiate candidates out there as well. But I'm here to make a case for the region. I'd like to see the United States maybe go after some coaches who did some cool things in this World Cup. I had Lauren Donaldson listed on there, Jamaica's head coach, but I'm here to make a case for Bev Priestman a little bit. This is another team that unfortunately, a CONCACAF team that got bounced a little bit earlier than anticipated in this World Cup. But why not Priestman? This is a coach who is no stranger to having to work on a really tight timetable and quick turnaround. We're talking about someone who was hired by Canada to take over the senior national team in October of 2020 and then went ahead and won the gold medal with this Canadian team at the Tokyo Olympics. And that's kind of the scenario that's going to be presented here to the next potential head coach of this national team. So maybe why not give an interview to someone who has been there before?
Interesting. The thing I think about with Priestman is that this is a coach during the World Cup, specifically right now, who I thought made some interesting coaching decisions, and that's where we are with the women as well, with Vlatko Andonovski. I don't feel like the decisions that were made with the personnel were correct. I pretty much sat here and said, why is Sophie Schmidt not starting games for Canada? So I think we're kind of in the same situation when you talk about who is being chosen personnel-wise with Priestman. But all right, Sandra. All right.
Let you have that.
Yeah. Darren, you have a candidate as well?
I do. I'm going to rock with Laura Harvey. I really think she has proven that she's a developmental coach. She's keen to take the job as well. We actually have a quote from her about this. And I think that she's shown a lot of faith with her players. They all love her. We haven't heard anything bad about her. She's been involved with U.S. soccer for a long time. And I do think that she could lead this team, and especially this younger generation, and developing them into a new identity and be a new force to be reckoned with. And the new identity that we were craving seeing in this tournament, I think is something that she can really provide and bring out in this younger squad, hopefully in the Olympics moving forward, and then for years to come.
People are already asking her about it too, right, Darian? And she's already been asked about, would you take this job? And I think that's really interesting that reporters are already saying, all right, you'd look pretty good here.
And she's taken it in stride. She's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm open to it. So
the one thing I find challenging with club coaches into national team coaches is it is a totally different mindset. You go from having players every single day for 9 months to getting them in pockets. And Sandra, that can be a really tough task, don't you think, for that kind of workaround for a head coach?
Yeah, I don't know if the head coaching position here is one that's going to need to come in here and kind of look and lean into development as something that's going to be that number one tick of the box for coaches who come into this position. I think they're looking for someone who could take what is currently in place and make sure to turn it around. I think at this point, you've got some players in Smith, Sophia Smith specifically, and Naomi Girma, who have kind of shown that they are able to take on the challenges of playing professionally in a club environment. And we saw Girma, I think, take that next step on this international stage a bit in this tournament. And Sophia Smith had a really good opening game against Vietnam and was a consecutive starter throughout this tournament for the United States. So what is that next piece, for this team? So I think there is a certain level of perception and focus on development a little bit, but I'm more looking at for a candidate that can come in here, take what's the talent that's already there and provide the plan to push them forward, essentially.
As you say that, Sandra, I want to present my pick for this. Current Australia women's national team coach Tony Gustafsson. I have him as someone who's so motivational. He is tactically sound. He also has coached both men and women in the club and in the national team level. And just to see what he has done with Australia with Sam Kerr's absence in place has been incredible to watch. So he can obviously do it at the national team level. Also, he worked for the U.S. women's national team for many years under both previous managers, Pia Sundhage and Jill Ellis. So he understands the culture and the landscape while not being the head person that was making all of the calls. So giving him that power, now as he's seen winning, he's seen other situations under that federation, maybe he knows what he wants to change there. And I think that it's a good time for a change in the U.S. women's national team federation aspect.
I guess I feel like I'm doing the group project where I'm like, okay, Sandra, we're now going to present the next candidate. Hear me out. The best of the Blues. Long history dating back to 2001 in terms of managerial resume, and extremely impressive. The one, the only, Emma Hayes. So I feel like it would take quite a bit of cajoling to pry her from Chelsea's grip, given that she's been there since 2012 and she's won just about everything there is to win, less Champions League. I feel like you can't argue with her experience, to her resume, to her football IQ. I think that she'd be a perfect fit, but with the caveat being that we'd have a lot of convincing to do to get her out of Chelsea.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on the convincing part. Emma Hayes is an offender coaching stateside, right? But I don't know if she maybe had the best experiences, coaching so long ago in a much different phase of her life in WPS, right? So I think so much has changed for this coach. I think she's become part of the top tier elite coaches. When you take a look across the women's head coaching landscape, Emma Hayes is at the top of that list for so many folks out here when we look at candidates. So that's the other part I think that you bring up, Kupo, where you're kind of talking about the convincing. What is U.S. Soccer going to pitch to some of these?
So Sandra, you're saying it's not going to be an edible arrangement then? We're going to need to bust out maybe some jazz hands, some dancing people. I don't know. What? Somebody find out immediately what Emma Hayes likes, because I'll get it done. I don't know.
I don't see her leaving that job. I mean, she has done so much, and she's clearly very respected there. I mean, obviously,
sure.
as a Chelsea fan,
so.
She has done so much there, and I think she really cares about those women and bringing, and continuing their progress and all that she's done there. I don't see her leaving that project.
And you know what? I kind of find offense in you saying that WPS was so long ago, Sandra. So we'll talk about that after the show. We will talk about that after the show. But I'm going to throw in my candidate, and I think it's got to be Serena Wiegmann, the head coach of this English squad. And I think it's really probably dependent on how England does in the rest of this World Cup, because she has tactically put on a masterclass with this English squad. They have been presented with challenges and players and personnel, and she has done such a good job of plugging and playing, finding the right players in her arsenal on the bench to say, all right, you can go in here and you can really fit this team well. That's what we need. We need tactical adaptability. We need a coach that really feels like they have a good way of utilizing the talent on this team. What do you say, Sandra?
I think that is like the big, like cotton candy cloud, like in the sky type of candidate. I think that folks want to see for U.S. Soccer. Again, edible arrangement, concert tickets, whatever it is that she likes. I think they're going to have to really try to sweeten that deal, considering the current contract that Wiegmann is on with the Lionesses. I believe it's through 2025. And if we're throwing numbers on theme, right? Andonovski, I think I saw a figure of 400,000. I think they're going to have to up that if they want to try to convince Wiegmann to come through. I agree with you in terms of what we've been seeing from England on the pitch. They've had to play in some real pressure cooker type of games, and to be able to just sort of have a cool head, put that confidence in your bench, let them know that they have what it takes to get out there and win those really uncomfortable games, I think speaks high volumes of this coach and what she can do with the team. So I think that's number one in terms of the real kind of like ambitious kind of long shot. And I think that we got to put that pressure back on U.S. Soccer. Are they going to embrace that? Are they going to embrace that within this coaching search? Are they going to widen this net to include very hot named candidates for this position?
Right, exactly. And as you've been speaking, I've actually convinced Jenny to be on my team because she's a Tar Heel. So we've been playing at North Carolina under Antador, and so now you're on my
It's so
team,
easy
right?
to get Jenny on your side. You know, you
So
just
many
have to.
Tar Heels. There's just so many Tar Heels in this World Cup. If we just wanted to do a little caveat there, but yes, a previous Tar Heel there. I won't lean with you here. You know what? It's so difficult because I find that NWSL to the U.S. Women's National Team has been like this very easy move. That's what Andonovski just did, and it didn't work. So I don't want to see that.
It's a hard move. We also saw Mark Parsons do that to
And
a
it
national
didn't
team,
work.
and it was
Right.
difficult.
So I would only consider national team to national team. Sorry, I don't see Emma Hayes coming. So that leaves me with us two, but I want Sandra's opinion. Sandra, we all gave our pitches here. What would be your choice out of the ones we pitched here?
I'm with you. I think I'm leaning into the camp where I want to see a national team move. I'm not someone who's going to say that it's done and dusted for the experiment of an NWSL pipeline to national team head coach. I think Laura Harvey is probably the candidate to look at coming out of the league. I know folks are maybe clamoring a bit for Casey Stoney, but I don't know if that's going to be the correct move either. So I think when you're looking at the landscape of NWSL, it's like Laura Harvey, and then it completely kind of falls off, I think, at that point. So I would like to see U.S. Soccer maybe make a national team lateral move, take a look at some of these coaches and what they did throughout this particular World Cup, and try to throw your hat in the ring and try to lure those coaches back to the States and say, hey, there's a real opportunity to build something here, because it's going to be a unique opportunity for the head coach to come here and rewrite history a little bit, because this is the earliest exit, right, ever for a U.S. women's national team. So how are you going to come in here and get everything back on the right path? And I think the way to do that is to ensure that you've got a coach with the right amount of experience at those major international levels. So I'm with you on Tony, and I think I'm with Jordan as well on Serena, but I think maybe there's a better shot to nab Tony.
You got to put yourself in there, too. You got Priestman.
And Bev.
You know what, Sandra? Just because you agreed with my pick, I just want to say it's always a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, thank goodness. Let me cancel that edible arrangement, because that was too long. Hold on.